It's usually Chop, Shane, and myself, Ashley Borg. This evening, Corey Hopper has another engagement to get to. So we wish you all the best, Chop, and I know that you'll enjoy that engagement very much, my friend. You've got your son in town. Ashley Borg here with Shane Darwin. Good evening, Shane, and how's your week been, mate?
It's been pretty good, Ash. It's been my first week back at work after having being in between jobs for the last 4 weeks. So I had to actually, put on clothes and get out of bed and do all that stuff that normal people have to do. But it's been good. I've been enjoying the new job. So back into it, and obviously pretty primed for a big day of footy tomorrow too. I was a little bit nervous looking at that rain forecast early in the week. I thought, don't tell me we're going to have a repeat of last week. But to its credit, today's held off pretty well. So I'm hoping we get a good batch of games tomorrow.
Yeah, outstanding. And there's been some really good things happen in the AFL Hunter Central Coast, or for people either in the AFL Hunter Central Coast or just out of it. We had some umpiring news during the week that the first female field umpire in the Western Region Football League in Melbourne, which is a league that's been going for about 80 to 90 years. I was lucky to be in the league and umpire a few first grade grand finals and just over a couple of hundred games in A grade. And the very first female field umpire has been appointed on Saturday, and she comes from the Newcastle Central Coast Umpires Association. Congratulations to Eliana Waters-Cowan, who made the trip to Melbourne last year and has cracked into A grade and is the very first female umpire to do so in over 90 years of history in the league. Absolutely phenomenal. And from both of us, Shane, massive congratulations to her. It's a wonderful effort.
That's huge news, isn't it? That's and if as you say, there's been 100 years, and she's the first. It shows that we breed up some really good talent here, and they go on to bigger and better things, don't they? We've seen that throughout the course of the last couple of years, with Zali and all sorts of players, umpires going off and spreading the word of the AFLHCC, which is fantastic.
Yeah, absolutely. And we celebrate one of our own, one of our old boys, I suppose, big little Ollie, who's doing great things with the AFL Hunter Central Coast. He's a 15-year-old kid. Tell you what, I'm going to be rapt when he goes on Fox Footy in a few years' time, Shane, and we can say we heard him first and we worked with him before he got famous.
Well, listen, I was going to give a real shout out to the Umpires Association for their work with Eliana and getting there, but I'm going to give him a slap around the chops for Ollie, because they've stolen him from the broadcast. He's he's too busy blowing the whistle on a Saturday. We haven't unfortunately had him behind the mic at all, but he's doing some fantastic stuff. And if you haven't heard him on 2NUR, give him a listen. He's been doing a weekly section there where he's been wrapping up the rounds games for the 2NUR news broadcast, which has been fantastic to get the word out there about everything that's happening in the league. And this week he's just launched his new podcast, which is the Mark and the Mike, which is fantastic. He's doing one-on-one interviews with players from the league. This week it was Dylan Bonham from the Cardiff Hawks, and it was a really good listen. So if you haven't already got yourself onto that, get onto the 2NUR website, look for their podcast section, and you'll find Ollie's podcast there. It's fantastic. We invited him on tonight, didn't we, Ash, to say hello and to tell us a little bit about it. But he's actually in the studio tonight as we speak, recording the next couple of episodes. We can't give away too much, apart from that there is a current AFLHCC captain in there. So there's some big names coming up in this podcast. So watch this space and get yourself over to 2NUR and give Ollie's podcast a listen.
No, we love what you're doing, Ollie, and we'd love to have you back on the broadcast anytime, my friend, but it seems like you'll be doing it one out and doing a much better job than we have. So I'll get on Spotify and go on the grill back to back with Mark on the mic. I reckon that'll be a fantastic duo going to the footy on a Saturday.
Indeed.
So we'll recap round 14, which didn't really have a great deal with it, Shane. We had a lot of washouts, but we did get one Black Diamond Women's Cup game. At Rose Point Park, Singleton defeated by Killarney Vale 53 points to 0. And in muddy conditions at Rose Point Park, Killarney Vale celebrated a legend, a female legend of the club in Bethany Wood, who played her 150th game with a very comfortable win. Taya White kicked 3 goals for the winners, and she was also among the best with Eva Murphy and Emily Thompson. I believe Taya played her 50th game on the weekend also. But Bethany Wood, 150 female games. If you'd have asked me 10, say 15 years ago, would a female footballer play 150 senior female games? it was almost unheard of. And I think it's just brilliant that women get an opportunity to play, not only to play the sport they love, but to have the longevity in the game. The AFL Hunter Central Coast, the women's competition, yeah, it's a little bit one-sided at times, but the opportunities it's providing for female footballers now is just superb. Shane, and I love it. And Bethany's a wonderful exponent of football, and she's a great ambassador for our comp. So
Yeah,
congratulations, Beth.
she really is, and 150 games is a wonderful effort. Well done, Bethany. I'll also shout out Brooke Turner for her work on the mic when she was out there
Yes.
interviewing Bethany and the other girls throughout the course of last Saturday. I don't know how many of you follow the Killarney Vale Bombers on the social media, but have a look for Brooke's takes there. She was fantastic. I reckon we might need to get her on the mic at some stage too, Ash. Whether she joins us on a Friday night or we get her sitting next to us for a game at some stage, but she was really good value.
Yeah, second that motion. Yeah, Brooke, if you're watching this one or on my Instagram or anything like that, we see you at a game. I reckon you're getting on the mic in the men's game for a bit of on the mic action because you sound fantastic and you did a great job. So congratulations there. No other games, sadly. The ladder after round 14 really didn't change a great deal. Cardiff and City still on top. Killarney Vale got an extra 6 or 7% on the match ratio, and the entrance Batter Bay sit in fourth. So it's about where it sits. Mia Wilson kicked another goal, so she just sneaks a little bit further ahead in the women's goal kicking contest. So not much changed, but Killarney Vale just picked up a bit more confidence with a win against Singleton. Shane?
Yeah, and we spoke last week about how Singleton will always put up a fight, and they did that. That 53-point margin was the closest they've been for quite a while against Killarney Vale. So, we always expect the Roosterettes to put up a fight. They really did that, and they fought hard for what was a much improved result for them. So well done them. But the Killarney Vale machine just keeps on rolling. They're starting to find that that little bit of form. I think their early season form maybe wasn't as good as they're playing themselves into to the end. So we saw them have a heavily dominated City Cardiff roster at the start of the year where they played all those teams and they've lost a few. Now they're building up a little bit of momentum heading into that finals, and they've got some easier games as we head through to the finals. Going to be interesting to see where they sit against at the two top of the tables.
Yeah, absolutely, mate. I'll put one question to you. During the week, we had a bit of a chat online in our little group, and there was talk that there could be possibly a top 6 in the Women's Cup. Not sure how I feel about it personally. What about yourself?
Yeah, listen, it does look like that. The finals fixture has been at least put up on Play HQ without the venues in yet, but the actual match structures there, and it is showing a 6-team final season. Which, to be honest, I think in a 7-team competition, we probably don't need those extra spots. I really loved it last year. I thought with the entrance Batter Bay sort of stepping up for their first year in and having the 8 teams in that comp, the 6-team finals worked really well last year. I think this year maybe it's not as beneficial as it will be. The 3rd versus 6th game will be very one-sided. Maybe there's some value in the 4th versus 5th teams playing each other, but I think we could probably do with a top 4, is my personal opinion.
Yeah, I completely agree. Look, I like the endeavour from the league, but yeah, top 6 with 7 sides just doesn't really fit. But we'll go with that, and we're happy to broadcast any games that come our way in the finals. That's for sure. Black Diamond Men's Cup review. Only had one game there, but gee, it was a shock, and that's all pun intended. Maitland notched up their first win ever against Newcastle City in very odd circumstances at Max McMahon Oval. Shane, they trailed at quarter time, and then they kicked 3-1 to lead by 9 points at halftime. The heavens opened at Max McMahon. Lightning strikes then caused the cancellation of the match, and because it got to halftime, it constituted a match, so Maitland win the game. And Isaac Birdhold, Walter Pankhurst, and Zach Stewart were the best for Maitland up until halftime. If you'd have seen that coming and if you'd have backed it in, I reckon you'd earn enough money to have a house by now, because that would have been huge odds.
Yeah, it sure would have. Full credit to Maitland.
Yep.
You gotta, you gotta have your nose in front when the game's called off to get the win, and they did that. And we saw them last week; they were up at halftime against Warners Bay as well. So the week
Yep.
before. So, they're showing some really good end of year form. When we called them against the Marlins going back a couple of rounds ago, we said they were building towards the end of the year, and next year they were going to be even better again. And they're starting to see that, and get some rewards for their first half efforts. And when the first half effort gets you a win against City, well, hey, they made our tipping contest look like mugs, didn't they? None of us tipped that, and full credit to the Saints.
No, I think it's sensational for Maitland to get that. I mean, they've never beaten Newcastle City in first grade before, so what a unique way to do it. It'll be something they'll have in the history books for a long time to come. For Newcastle, look, Mitch Crawford and the boys, they'll be disappointed, but it's one loss and it doesn't make it the season. But what it does make it, Shane, is a change in the Black Diamond Cup ladder after round 14. Warners Bay go top with no game played, so they didn't have to do any work, and they go to the top. 83% match ratio. Newcastle City with the loss dropped to 79. Terrigal 75. Nelson Bay 55. And Killarney Vale 42. Cardiff, Maitland, and the entrance Bateau Bay, I reckon, with the washout round, probably are done for finals now, I think, with Cardiff. And it's really just a race in 5 now for the top 4 between Nelson Bay and Killarney Vale. What a shame they didn't get to play last weekend, mate.
Yeah, it is. My thoughts on Warners Bay. Listen, after 14 rounds, I don't know. I don't know whether you'd be able to go back through the history books and find it, but would they have been on top after 14 rounds? Probably not for a long time. So well done to the Dogs. Those other 3 teams, I did do the crunch the sums during the week, and Cardiff, the entrance Bateau Bay, and Maitland cannot make the finals now. That is a mathematical impossibility. But you hit the nail on the head there, Ash. That washout last week robbed us of what was really a finals defining game. Nelson Bay versus Killarney Vale has had some really big connotations for who won that game. Nelson Bay winning it would have given them sort of a double game leapfrog and just about sewn up their finals position. Whereas conversely, if Killarney Vale had beaten them, same would apply for them. They would have jumped up and not leapfrogged them yet, but they would have, with their run home for the next couple of weeks, probably been sitting in the box seat. So a real shame that that Mother Nature has sort of ruined that game for us. That is what it is. It's how the cookie crumbles. Both teams just have to pick up and get ready for the run home.
That's it. And be a great last few games in the Black Diamond Men's and Women's Cup. So we'll preview round 15. Warners Bay in the women's. Warners Bay are playing Killarney Vale. Probably the only game that I would say would be a genuine one-sided match this weekend of the 3. Warners Bay, got a lot of respect. Amy Pittman and the girls have had a really good year. They've improved. They've got some good gameplay and some very good talent coming through the ranks. But Killarney Vale are on the march, and I just can't see this going any other way than a win to the Bombers.
Yeah, I tend to agree. And the question for me will probably be Mia Wilson. Will she kick another bag and I was going to say cement herself at the top of the? She's probably already cemented herself as the goal kicking medalist. To be honest, she's 14 goals clear. But if she has a big day out tomorrow, that'll really sort of put her name on the trophy in permanent texture, I'd reckon.
Yeah, agreed. Look, Mia needs another 7 goals to kick 50 for the year, which would be a fantastic achievement for her. And look, Taya White's been getting in the goals recently with Jackie Green, so it'll be interesting to see how they go. Newcastle City versus Cardiff. I reckon if we had a standalone female women's cup match this weekend, Shane, this would be the match of the round. Newcastle City and Cardiff, first versus second on the table. Galagos and Melina Ayres are both in for Cardiff, which I think is a big X factor for the Hawks. It gives them a massive drive going forward. Melina Ayres has just taken to AFL like a duck to water, really. She's been superb. 2 ins for mine that I don't know how many people actually know these girls, but they're some really talented sports people and players, full stop. One player to watch for Cardiff this weekend is Annika McCarthy. 17 years old, was just selected for the New South Wales Waratahs Rugby Sevens senior squad. It's a squad of 25, and she's made that. It's an unbelievable achievement. She's also a former New South Wales AFL representative at schoolgirl level, and I believe she's also done it at touch footy as well, or OzTag. So
yeah, wow.
She is quick. She has speed to burn, and she's got terrific hands. So good luck to Annika tomorrow. And also Alex Nayland, who didn't get to play last week, ex-Singleton Rooster, who played in the Alex Tagani under 17 and 15 Invincibles back in the day. She was one of the top 30, named in the top 30 draft chances for AFLW this season. So she is a terrific footballer with wonderful, tall, lanky player who can run all day and got excellent tackle pressure and a beautiful set of hands. So Cardiff have probably got the best squad on paper in Women's Cup. I know Brett Godfrey will disagree, but Newcastle City are coming in hot. They've got Helvo, Jade Archer, Sophie Trewartha, Isabella Sullivan. They're going to head the charge. Mate, if we could go to Newcastle City and cover that game and then come back to Singleton and cover the other one, it would be like a heaven on a stick. We've got a pretty good game at Singleton also, but this one will go. Look, I reckon it could go either way. Based on previous form and what they played and what they did last time, I'm going to go Cardiff, but only just. And if Newcastle City win, it won't be a shock either.
Yeah, last time they met on the 14th of June, it was a 50-point margin, which is a huge flogging for City versus Hawks. You just don't see that result. The Hawks absolutely monstered City that day, kept them to 10 points, which is once again unheard of. So I don't think we'll see as big a gap as we did back in the middle of June. As you mentioned, Brick Godfrey's, will have something to say about that, and he'll have the girls fired up, I'm sure. They're at home. The last game they played was at Pasterfield, so they are at home at number 1. I think it'll be a closer game, but I'm going to tip Cardiff in this one by 3 goals for my mind. I think they'll still be the better team on the day. They really do look the goods to me.
Yeah, absolutely. And Cardiff only have one more game after this one. They play Singleton, and then the last round they have a bye. So should they win tomorrow, they should finish first at the end of the year. City have Cardiff, obviously, tomorrow, then Warners Bay and Terrigal, and they should account for those two sides quite easily, I'd imagine. Singleton versus the Entrance Bateau Bays, our Bar TV match of the round on the Kings of Live stream, Shane. Both teams in the bottom half of the table. The Entrance Bateau Bay looking to hold on to their top 4 spot. They win tomorrow, they'll probably just about secure it. Singleton have the list to ruffle some feathers, I reckon, at the Chook Pen tomorrow, but it depends on which playing outfit takes the field. The only summation for mine will be whether the travel is too much for the Entrance Bateau Bay and the injuries they've sustained in the last 4 to 5 weeks. They're down to about 12 or 13 injuries, which is just horrible for the last half of the year. Or can they sneak the win away from home? I'm actually going to tip the home side. I think they'll get through for their second win of the year, but they'll only do it just by the barest of margins. It'll be about 1, maybe 2 goals at best. What's your thoughts, mate?
Yeah, listen, it has been a tough year for the Roosterets. We saw them, with a fantastic finish to last year to sort of slide themselves into that 4th place at the end of the regular season. And I thought they were building to what was going to be a fantastic year this year. It hasn't necessarily gone maybe how I would have thought, and I'm sure how the club would have liked. And they've only had the 1 win so far, but tomorrow does give them a real opportunity. The Entrance Bateau Bay have been absolutely hammered by injuries, and they've got a long trip in the car. So listen, I'm fairly buoyant for the Roosterets tomorrow. I think they're going to be the team to beat. They had some real fight against Killarney Vale last week. If they show that fight against the Entrance Bateau Bay tomorrow, I think they're going to win as well. Not going to be a huge margin. I think a couple of goals max for that one.
Yep, and it's Big Sponsors Day at the Chook Pen tomorrow. So anyone from Singleton, if you're watching or listening to the podcast, make sure you get to the Rose Point Park Chook Pen from midday. Full bar facilities and feed. You got the Bar TV crew and a great load of sponsors. And we thank all the sponsors of all the clubs for making things happen in the AFL Hunter Central Coast.
Yeah, and it's our first time up there, Ash, too, since the club room's been redone as well. So we might even, if you can't get there in person, we might even try and get the camera to do a little bit of a wander around and give you a tour of the new facilities up there, because I've heard they're pretty flash as well.
Yeah, it'll be wonderful. I'd love to have a look at it, to be honest, as well. Yeah, someone's just typed in our little chat. Someone's gotten in our chat room here, Shane. I've never known a club to suffer injuries like Bateau Bay have this year. Agreed. From Bruce. Absolutely agree, mate. I really understand the luck, the bad luck, because they've been in such a great position this year. And Scott Gray's been wonderful with him. I would hazard to say that Scott Gray would go close to winning Coach of the Year if they'd won a few more games, because he's done a great job with them this year. And they'll be back bigger and better next year, I reckon, the Entrance Bateau Bay. But this year they're going to fall short. But the injuries have just really have not done them a favour at all.
Yeah. Well, when you look, this is their second year in Cup, if I'm not
Yep,
mistaken. I'm
second year
losing
with
track
two
of the years.
sides.
Second
Yep.
year in Cup, they've had a big stack of injuries, and they're having a real push for fourth place. So, that is a great result.
Yeah, absolutely, mate. And yeah, we wish them all the best tomorrow, but I think Singleton might get over the line. So that's the Women's Cup. We'll go to the Men's Cup now, mate. It's very interesting race to the top for the top three and also for fourth and fifth. First game we'll preview is the entrance Baddo Bay versus Nelson Bay at Baddo Bay Oval, as I've been told by some Central Coasties. We call it Passage Road because that's what's on our fixture. But I've got a couple of principal colleagues who live in the Central Coast, and they say never heard of Passage Road Oval, Ash. It's called Baddo Bay Oval. So the entrance, Baddo Bay versus Nelson Bay. Look, the Battle of the Bays. The Blues are dangerous at home. They know how to band together, Shane, and know how to play the ground. Scott Reed, Cole Robertson, and the Besleys always do great things for the Blues and can do damage from anywhere around the ground. For mine this year, one of the things I reckon the Marlins have found a really good ruckman in Baden Clements, who for mine is one of the best tap rucks in the comp. He gets around and he really is mobile for a big guy, and he'll prove a handful. Jaden Reimer and Wade Blackburn, the Grant brothers, they'll run, carry, and harass all afternoon. Grimer, they've got some terrific midfielders. But the big thing for mine, Shane, that swayed my tip is the absence of Pat Murphy on the team sheet tomorrow. I think that's the deciding factor for me. That hurts the Blues. So that's why I'm going for Nelson Bay tomorrow by a few goals.
Yeah. Listen, I tend to agree with you there, but this is one of those danger games. Chop's been talking about it for the last couple of weeks. How Maitland Saints and the entrance Baddo Bay can still influence the makeup of the finals.
Yep.
We saw that last weekend with Maitland Bay knocking over the city, and Chop did call it. He's on the money there. And tomorrow is another one of those games. The entrance Baddo Bay can really make a mess of Nelson Bay's run home if they get the win. So Nelson Bay are going to need to come in and play their very best. They're a better team at home than they are away, but I think that they'll be in the mindset, that they won't necessarily mind the trip. There'll be a couple of hours on the bus tomorrow for sure, but they're going to have to go in turned on because for them, this is make or break for their finals. So if they win tomorrow and Kalani Vale lose, then that should, and there is a little asterisk there because it's subject to being rained out. The rain out makes a bit of a mess of the match ratio stuff. But in theory, if Nelson Bay win tomorrow and Kalani Vale lose, Nelson Bay will have made the top four for the end of the year, which will be absolutely fantastic given where they came from at the start of the year. So I think they're going to need to play their best because the entrance Baddo Bay certainly won't lay down. No Pat Murphy is going to be the difference to me. Go. Well, I think I'm still the president of the Nelson Bay fan club as well as the Max Collins fan club. So I better say go Marlins. I'm going to tip them. I'm going to take them by 4 goal.
Well, it's an interesting finish for them. They play the entrance Baddo Bay, Nelson Bay, and then they've got Terrigal, Avoca, and Warners Bay. Now, I'm sorry if you're a Marlins fan. I just don't see Nelson Bay knocking off Terrigal or Warners Bay. So that puts them at the end of the season at 6 wins and 6 losses, which gives them a 50% match ratio. Like you said, if they win tomorrow, it should be enough. I believe it should be enough. Your maths is pretty good. I dare say you're more intelligent human being than I am in the maths regime, mate. And I think that's enough for Nelson Bay. Warners Bay versus Kalani Vale was the second game. Shane, the Dogs, the hunted on top of the league in the Black Diamond Cup. And I reckon it looks good. I reckon Nathan Harkness and the boys, they'd love the view from up there, I'm sure. But are the Dogs scared of heights? The Kalani Vale have been a lot more competitive in the last few weeks, but they know the Dogs are the testing material. For mine, they are as well. The Mulholland boys, Lloyd and Jai Grundy, have been playing well when they can play together. And I reckon their backline of Convy and Kenobi, that pairing is a really good connection when they get going and they're on song as well. Warners Bay are there to be beaten tomorrow. They've got a few out. They've got Church out, Connor Betts, Tommy Gardner, Harper and Zach Munns. They're all out. I think that they'll still be good enough to win, and I think they'll back themselves at home. They'll stay on top of the ladder with 2 rounds to go. My tip is Warners Bay by a couple of goals.
Yeah, they're going to need, with those outs, Munns and Lauritsen and Gardner or whatever else, they're 3 guns. Like they're 3 of the best, if not the three best. I mean, that's up for debate, I suppose. But three absolute superstars there, plus a couple of others as well, is going to make the job harder for them. We've seen Mark Dignam have a really good last couple of weeks. If he continues that form, I think he'll provide them that sort of straightens down the middle they need heading into goal. That they won't miss Zach Mundy. They've got him and they've got Collins to give them some avenues to goal. So, I think for mine, I'm gonna put this one on the shoulders of the Big Dig. If the Big Dig has a good game, they're gonna win and they're gonna win comfortably. So, Mark, you'll probably be watching this, and I look forward to getting a ribbing in the next week or two. But mate, this game's yours to be won on your shoulders. So I'm going to take it by 4 goals, and that's going to be off the back of a Mark Dignam, a bit of a renaissance game, and he's going to take him over the line.
Take him by the scruff of the neck. Well, at the moment, Warners Bay are 10 wins and 2 losses, Shane, and they've got Killarney Vale, which if we've tipped them to win, that'll take them to 11 and 2, and then they've got Newcastle City, which I think they may lose for mine, so that takes them to 11 and 3, and then they've got Nelson Bay, which I think they should win, takes them to 12 and 3 for the rest of the year, which puts them at 75% match ratio. Enough for probably second or third for mine. I think they're pretty safe in the top 2 or 3.
I'm just going to get you to cast your memory back to when we were at number 1 last time when we saw Warners Bay against City, and they made City look, not average, because that was just, I think that's the game of the year that we've covered so far. That was fantastic.
Yeah, well,
Warners Bay produced. So I'm not going to mark them an X against them for next week just yet. We'll talk about that more on next week's show, I'm sure. But it really is going to be a very interesting finish to the season to see what they can do there.
Yeah, look, and I only give them a cross against City because you just don't. For mine, the history of the last 8 to 10 years, Newcastle City, they know how to peak. And the last 3 games is when you do it. So for my that's sort of where I see it. But seeing them beat City again would not surprise. That's for sure. Third game of the preview is Maitland and Terrigal Avoca. Well, Maitland pulled out the shock of all shocks and got helped by the gods to do it on Saturday last week, defeating Newcastle City. Charlie Walker, Riley Newstead, and Zach Stewart have been dominating in the last few weeks without luck. Last week, they got the luck they needed in a well-deserved win at home. Xavier Russell and Walter Pankhurst are also in the team. They look stronger with Walter Pankhurst. He's a very unsung hero in the team, and he's got some great run and carry, especially off the half-back line. They're more potent in the middle of the park and in the first line of defence. So they're going to be a stronger unit. But Terrigal Avoca are a juggernaut and a Rolls-Royce all in one. So they can destroy you when they feel like it, and when needed, just roll through and do what they need to do to get the wins. Kurt Fleming for mine's on Elliot Davey form, and especially what I've been told from outside sources, he's been playing magnificently this year. They've got Caden McNamara back from the VFL, Adam Miller, Jack Grimm-Lee, Mackenzie Leecroft in the side, and then you add the back line of Birkinshaw and Tristan Carter, and then you stick Mitch Price in Harrison Pitt's spot at full forward. Mitch Price has had more comebacks than Johnny Farnham. He might have actually outlasted me in the comeback stakes. I had a few umpiring. And with them in the team, I think the Saints are going to need more than lightning to strike twice to get anywhere near Terrigal Avoca. For mine, Terrigal Avoca very comfortably tomorrow afternoon.
Yeah, listen, I remember myself last week saying it was going to be one-way traffic and it was going to be a big margin in Newcastle City, and it was just a matter of how many goals the Tractor and Woody could kick, and that didn't happen. So do I say the same again this week? You know what? Yeah, I do. I think it's going to be one-way traffic, and I think it's going to be a heavy flow for Terrigal. I love Maitland Saints. I just can't see him, getting the chocolates over Terrigal Avoca. They've got class all over the field, and a couple of good ins, as you say. So they're looking pretty good coming into the end of the year, and I think they are still a mathematical chance to finish number 1 and top of the ladder as well. So depending on what happens in those last few weeks, those top 3 sides can shuffle around, and Terrigal might just say, listen, we want percentage. They've got the percentage advantage over Warners Bay, that's for sure. So they might want to come out to tomorrow and say, hey, listen, we really want to, we're holding that advantage in percentage wise against both Warners Bay and Newcastle. How about we make it just that little bit higher and we kick a big score tomorrow? So we'll see what happens.
Yeah, absolutely. And then Terrigal Avoca are interesting. They got Maitland this week. They got Nelson Bay the week after, and then Newcastle City to finish. Now, I did the predictor a couple of weeks ago, and I had Newcastle City going undefeated for the remainder of the year. That sort of backfired last week. But I'll still back City to win in round 17. That then puts Terrigal Avoca at 11-4, which put them in third. So I just, as I said, the good sides know how to peak. Terrigal will do it as well. But on paper, I just see City as the strongest team in the Black Diamond Cup if they can get it right. And that's what it comes down to, isn't it? Can you get it right in the afternoon?
They could also lose against Warners Bay and Terrigal Avoca back-to-back.
100%.
And
it opens it up. If they get beat those 2 times, it really opens the league up. It'll be a fantastic final series.
I 100% agree. I'm salivating at the thought of it because there's nothing between those teams. It's going to be who's better on the day, which is what you want.
Yeah, and we're going to be treated to a wonderful last 3 rounds and a terrific final series in the Black Diamond Men's Cup. As with the Women's Cup, I'm really looking forward to the top 3 going at it in the final, in the last few weeks of the finals. Last game for the Men's Cup is Newcastle City and Cardiff, and traditionally this is a really great game of footy. Doesn't matter where the 2 sides are on the ladder; they generally give you a wonderful contest. City had the shock of their lives, no pun intended, last weekend, albeit with the Guides not smiling on them at all. For mine, their team's on paper the best in the Black Diamond Cup. That's just my opinion. Mitch Crawford would have seen last week as an opportunity to learn. And I reckon the lesson is don't get off to a slow start because you'll get punished. Cardiff have been up and down all year. They pushed City last time around. I believe they got really, really close last time.
Yeah, I think they're up at half time from memory.
They were up at half time. Yeah, that's right. But they'll have to push even harder this time round. For Cardiff, I reckon they've had a real find this year in Finton Tricky. He's just been outstanding for Chris Gordon. And if he's not inside Cardiff's top 5 players this year, then he's their 6th best player. He's just been outstanding this year for them off halfback. The only thing that I've seen on Bar TV coverage and watching him live a couple of times is just his distribution out of defence. If he can fix up that kicking, he'd be the best centre halfback in the comp because he's got great hands. He's as fit as a Mallee bull, quick, strong for his size. So I think he holds his weight really well. But it's just that distribution out of halfback that just lets him down a little bit. But I really like Fitton, and I've seen him grow as a junior, and he's just a terrific player. The Bonham boys have been in good form as well. One of them's been in great form on the mic as well, Dylan. Shout out to you if you're watching, mate. You were terrific on the other day. I loved your work with Ollie. And the usual suspects of Pratt, Kerr, Delaney, and Buffler, Jake Sullivan, they'll play a role, but where it breaks down for me is the Hawks have to beat the forward line of Newcastle. Crawford, Ethan Marr, Jordan Deere, Sheriff Woody. Don't think they're going to have enough numbers to do that, although they've got some really good backline players in Oscar Smythe. They've got a few really good backline players. Fit and Trick is going to have the game of his life back there to stop the boys in the backline. Do they have enough numbers to cover the best forwards in the league? I don't think so at this time of year. I think Newcastle City will win. Margin won't be big because I think Cardiff will be playing for their absolute lives and for pride on the line.
Yeah, listen, I tend to agree. I think Newcastle City, they kind of have to, after last weekend, they have to come out and have a good game. They've got now Woodham's back, Jordan Deere back, Michael Henry's been back in now. I think for this will be his 3rd week back, maybe his 4th. So they've got to start linking that all together and getting themselves set for finals. So, Mitch Crawford knows that, and he will be making sure that they are on the upward, on that ascension now. They can't afford to have another slip up like last weekend. I think they will be too good for Cardiff. The forward line is going to be, a very hard front line to match up on. I think there's too many options, and there's too many tool options or players that can play tool too. Your Ethan Mars and your Jack Woodhams can play sort of tool than they are and take some good aerial marks too. And I think that's going to be too hard for Cardiff to contest with. So, I'm going to take Newcastle City, and I think the margin's going to be about 35 points.
Yeah, no, I think that's not a bad tip at all. And just wanted to highlight the Black Diamond Plate match of the round. That's where we are tomorrow at Rose Point Park, Shane, at 2 p.m. Sponsors Day at Singleton versus Cardiff. It's a really interesting game. Had a look at the stats and the ladders and the lineups, although Singleton haven't got their lineup out yet. just predicting what they might have in the park. Singleton are looking to win their 10th match in the last 11 games, which is just brilliant. They were hammered by Newcastle in round 1. They were given an absolute lesson by Nelson Bay in round 2. They were beaten in round 3, and they haven't lost a game since. And they went all the way to round 12 and then took Wyong Lakes on, and they got beat by 15 points. So they've won 9 out of their last 10 games. Unfortunately, last time they played against Cardiff, the Hawks didn't get a side on the park. So Singleton got the forfeit win there and 120 points to 0 win. Cardiff have got some good players in his plate comp. Max Koshin, Andrew Walker, the top goal scorer, and Angus Lyons. And an interesting player is a former NCCUA boundary umpire by the name of Cooper Harridge, who can seriously play footy. And he played some first grade games a few years ago. Singleton would, I dare say, for sponsors and past players day, they're going to have their best lineup for their home game. They're going to be in front of a very, very raucous crowd. They should get some good numbers at the Chook Pen tomorrow. They're going to be playing against possibly Jed Ellis Clough, who is an absolute jet. The Hawks are going to be in for a tough day, I think, at the Chook Pen. The former Camden Cats premiership coach in Jed Ellis Clough has been hungry for goals this year. He's currently 3rd on the goal kicking table. Blaine Chandler, who's a Rooster boy through and through, would love to get one over his former premiership teammates in the Cardiff Hawks plate. Luke Draper, if he gets a game, is an absolute jet at this level. He's as fit as a Mallee Bull. And you can't forget Mitchell Gaffney, who's really a spiritual leader at that club. Cardiff are in 7th spot at the moment with a game and significant percentage. The difference between them and finals, Singleton get the win tomorrow. They'll be secure 4th spot in the final 6 race. We haven't seen the teams all year. We were lucky enough to see Singleton against Warners Bay way back in, I think, round 4, Shane. I just think Singleton should win this game, and they will win it.
Yeah, they're in, as you mentioned, they're in a good run of form too. And yeah, I think, yeah, you always want to play well on Sponsors Day and Past Players Day. You know, the crowd will be a little bit more boisterous. There'll be a little bit more yahooing coming from the terrace areas, and I think the boys on the field will respond to that. And yeah, looking forward to seeing the Roosters play tomorrow. We don't get to see them a heck of a lot, so excited by the trip up the highway tomorrow to be filming that one for Bar TV.
Yeah, absolutely, mate. And a really interesting game in the Black Diamond Plate tomorrow is the battle of the undefeated top 2 sides. You don't generally see 2 undefeated sides come round 15 or 16 of a competition, but because of the Nelson Bay promotion to first grade to Cup early in the year, it meant that Terrigal Avoca and Newcastle City haven't played each other all year. Newcastle City are 13-0 with a percentage of over 1,000.
Wow.
And Terrigal are 12-0 with a percentage of about 380. So it would be an absolute cracking match tomorrow. I haven't seen the sides, but you'd almost guess that the 2 sides would be chock full of players that could be playing in the Black Diamond Cup and might even get a game in any other team in the Black Diamond Cup. Oliver Gilmore's
I was about to say, we've seen Oliver Gilmore while Woody and the Tractor were out.
Yeah. Riley Clifton for Terrigal Avoca, Ian Tiley, who dominated first grade about 8 or 10 years ago. You know, there's just some top footballers I remember from my time umpiring those 2 sides when they were, you know, the juggernauts back then also. It'd be one, you would pay money to watch those 2 reserve grade sides play each other. It's that good a game. I'm, you know, for a guess and a laugh, I tip Newcastle City because their percentage is over 1,000. But, you know, Terrigal winning that game wouldn't shock either. And whoever wins will win the minor premiership and have a bit of bragging rights in the finals. It'd be a great final series. I can't wait to cover it.
Yes, indeed. No, we generally don't get to see a heck of a lot of plates, so looking forward to that when the time comes around for finals. And yeah, you're right. It will be worth the price of admission, which is absolutely nothing. So get yourself along to number 1 sports ground tomorrow if you're in the area and watch that one. In fact, get yourself along to number 1 sports ground if you're in the area anyway, because you've got that game. You've got City and Cardiff in the Women's Cup, which is going to be, that is a genuine top two clash. And then you've got a pretty proud Cardiff that'll be looking to to make things right in the men's game as well against the now number 2 on the ladder, Newcastle City. So there's going to be at least 3 games of cracking football at number 1 tomorrow. But we're going to be taking you out to Rose Point Park.
Chook Pen, mate. Chook Pen.
The Chook Pen. And that's going to kick off from midday for the women's game and then 2 p.m. for the men's plate game. So, jump yourself onto the Bar TV app for those two.
Yeah, absolutely. Shane, mate, we've gotten to the 40-minute mark. We've covered all we need, mate. If you haven't got anything left in your agenda, I reckon it's time to just about say vamos, my friend.
There we go, and thank you. We just had another YouTube comment come through. Nick is going to be goal umpiring there tomorrow. So, Nick, happy flag waving, mate, and thank you to Nick and Bruce. These are the first comments we've got all year, good. So I'm excited that we've got the comments coming through now. So that is fantastic.
Nah, it's fantastic. So, hope you enjoyed tonight's edition of On the Grill. Make sure you subscribe on the YouTube page. Borgie the Broadcaster on Instagram. Happy to have anyone comment and have a bit of a chat to anyone during the week. It's great to be able to post the clips for you. SK Darwin on the Instagram for Big Shane. Admire his handiwork on the camera. From myself and Shane, we will see you all tomorrow on Bar TV, the Kings of Live Stream for midday. See you then.